going on? It's the Ace Micheals Show, y'all. Ace Micheals Show in the house. If you ever want to be on the show, you can. All you have to do is send us a little message and say, hey, I want to be on your show. And that's the best way for you to speak your mind, voice your opinions, ideas, suggestions, convictions, beliefs. You got things on your heart, you want to share that stuff, you come and be a guest on the show. I like to say, if it's on your chest, come be a guest. And that's what's up, man. Ace Micheals Show. Listen, I'm pissed off about black folks stuff, man. I want to start off the show with that. I'm black folks, and I don't like the fact that it's taken 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 years for us to get treated like regular folks. Last night, I was watching the movie Glory, which was a great film. Matthew Broderick definitely deserves an Oscar for his work on that film. I don't think he got one. I think that Denzel was nominated, and I think Morgan Freeman might have gotten one. But Matthew Broderick's performance in that film is great. But watching that film, it really brought to heart a lot of issues that just don't go away. Like, why is it okay to talk about black people not having rights? And it's like a joke, like, oh yeah, they don't need shoes. Let them go out and fight a war with no shoes on while the white guys get to wear shoes. Ha, ha, ha. It's like, that's not cool, man. And we're going through this whole stage of like Black Lives Matter and, you know, Black Wives Matter and Fat Albert Matters and all this stuff. The bottom line is we shouldn't have to talk about what I feel are basic human rights issues. We're humans. All humans have the same rights. We should be able to drink from a water fountain, walk down the street, get stopped by a police officer. But anyway, I digress. Welcome to the show. Today we're going to open up a whole lot of can of worms about these and much more things. My guest today is Rafiq. He's a real good friend of mine, dear friend, actor, entrepreneur, businessman. The guy's got a lot of creative ideas, and he has written a book and made a play, which is no small feat. So you know a lot of people run around just talking about what they're going to do someday. This guy actually did it. Rafiq, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Ace.
It's my pleasure. We always have some good conversations.
Yeah, we do.
Let's jump the hell on into this.
Okay, something you mentioned earlier when you were mentioning about the shoes and so forth. What's so crazy about all these things is we invented the shit. we invented the shoes. Right. We invented all these things that we can't have, basically have rights to or whatever. We invented a lot of the stuff. So how can I create your pants and your shoes, but then give it to you and I can't have it? Right. I mean, that really kind of just, but I don't even want to get into that. I'm not, that wasn't my energy of coming to the show. I wanted to come and discuss the book and what you have going on here. Because what you've done, this is a great studio. I want you all to know in the audience that this is a great studio. So I kind of wanted to congratulate you on your.
Thank you very much. I mean, the studio part, that's like work of God stuff. Like, I cannot stress enough that this particular studio came through 300% the grace of God. But the play in the book deals with issues of people losing their own self-worth. And I think that's what happened not just to black people in America, but I think a lot of people, especially during this pandemic era, I think a lot of people have lost their own self-worth because we used to be valued by the car we drove, the job we had, the clothes we wore. That's what we thought was important. And then a pandemic came along and we have to all of a sudden look and go, wait a minute, I guess that's not as important as we thought because now we don't have it as much. We don't need it as much maybe. And you're touching on a very sore spot with some of these people.
Well, I want to call it a scamdemic, first of all, okay? And what I'm touching on in the book is basically going back in time and changing things. A young man goes from this day and time back to the year of 1863-ish, 64, right before slavery's over. And he changes some things.
And tell me a little bit about what inspired this vision. Was this a dream that you came up with?
No.
Are you a time traveler? Tell the truth. Shame the devil. You're a time traveler. You tell us.
I'm a time traveler, a reptilian killer, and all the.
Exactly.
No.
I kind of thought so, but
no. What gave me the ideal, really, to be honest with you, Back to the Future. Okay, the movie Back to the Future, back in the '90s. I'm sitting there watching Back to the Future, and after it went off, I was just blown away by what happened throughout the movie. And after it went off, I started thinking, what if somebody black went back in time? What will we find? And I know if we're going to deal with some slavery, but let's see what we're going to actually find. Well, as I got to doing research, I was blown away because from the pans to the refrigerator engine, well, actually the actual rotary engine and the actual compressor for the refrigerator system, various things that we invented, I was blown away. I was like, wait a minute. Why wasn't this taught in history? Why do we know anything about this? I mean, we know about the gas mask and the stoplights and various things we do know about, but there was things, tons that we did not know about that we invented.
You know, and that's a good point that you make. I was talking to my mother. We get into some pretty deep conversations, and I had watched a documentary film about the making of comic books, and it was literally just something to put on in the background while I was cooking. And so I was watching this show, and I was kind of half-hearted interested. I don't really care that much about comics and blah blah blah. But in the middle of this story about the origin of comic books, there was a story. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't about the comic books. This was about the making of video games. That's what the documentary was about.
Okay.
About the making of video games and how video games in the 70s took over the American subculture. And in the middle of this show, this movie, there was a story about a black man who invented the game console that became Nintendo. And he completely designed it in his garage. He made the whole thing from scratch. It was completely his genius work.
But did he get paid for it?
He didn't get paid for it, nor has he gotten credit for it. So throughout the annals of time, he will not get any royalty. And his family, his kids were on the documentary, and they were saying, you know, like, these are pictures we have of our dad working in the garage making this game. And it's like,
prototype,
that's sad. Like, he spent his whole life creating something that's changed our lives, and he's not even recognized at all.
But basically, I'm going to steal your shit and put it out and put it under my name and then point my finger at you and say, no, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. So tell me, what makes this possible? Why? I mean, you've done the research on it. How is it possible to take a race of people and just say, well, you know, what you guys did is not really, it doesn't really matter as much as stuff we do. You shouldn't get credit for things you do. You shouldn't get the rights that we do. I mean, what creates that?
Very interesting question.
That's what I do.
Hatred, a jealousy. I think it's more jealousy. You created, I didn't, and you're gonna get credit for it, and I'm not. When I'm thinking it's more of a jealousy. It's deep. It has to be. Yeah, I just say it's a jealousy.
I have to agree with you. I want to go back to the movie Glory for a second, just because it's fresh in my mind, and I work on pop culture references. I'll be honest. If it ain't got to do with a movie, I don't know that much about it. But so I'm watching Glory, and the whole premise is that these black regiment of soldiers are excited because they're going to finally get to go and basically die for the country, because they're going to get shot, they're going to get maimed, they're going to kill some people, but probably they're going to die. And that's a big deal because it's about the protection of our country, and they feel like, I was born in America, I should have the right to die for America. And then there's another group of soldiers, white soldiers, who are like, nah, you don't get to die for America, boy, because you ain't white, you colored. And colored just don't get to die for our country. Well, why not? Colored got to build our country. We picked the cotton. We drove the wagons, and you know what I'm saying? Like, we put in just as much. And if we want to die for this country, we want to claim this country, we want to fly the flag for this country, why should we not be able to do that?
But let's back up, because before that ship landed here, we were already here thousands of years before Columbus even came here. So our statues and everything was already up that you came and took down.
Right.
So what are you saying? I don't want to die for my country. This wasn't your country in the beginning.
Right. And somehow it's gotten maddeningly twisted to where it is a totally different story now. Now that brings me back to your story. Mm-hmm. So what happens if a black man does go back to 1863? First off, he's not going to be free anymore.
Well, that's true. He's not going to be free anymore, and he's going to have to do some very. He's going to have to do some hiding. First of all, he's going to have to. He's going to have to. I want to say. Convert from this day and time to back then, to have to basically take the whole personality that he has of a free black man and kind of suppress that, you know, the idea of being free, and more or less put himself in a submissive position, because he's going to go through some issues. He's going to have some issues, but overall, as long as he doesn't really interact with the slave master per se, because he can basically navigate himself through that particular period and deal with only our people.
But okay, so now I want to stay on this point for just 1 second longer. So I watched another documentary about the Challenger explosion, and they're talking about NASA, and they're talking about the one black astronaut who's at NASA, and he tells a story about when he was in high school. He tries to go to a library in Georgia or wherever he's from, a southern state, and they won't let him go to the library because it's actually against the law. Now we're talking about, you know, Challenger. We're talking about the 80s. So
Yeah.
Challenger's the 80s. He's an astronaut from training from the 70s. He's in high school in the 60s, and in his state in the 60s, it was still illegal for a black young man to check out a book, so he couldn't check out a library book. And he went from that to becoming an astronaut flying in NASA's space program.
I'm kind of lost. I thought the Challenger. Okay, there was Mae Jemison. She wasn't on the Challenger. Wait, wasn't she on the Challenger?
No, the Challenger was
Which one that blew
Sally
up?
Sally Ride was the first teacher that went up. That was on the I forget what they called that one. Oh, not the Challenger though, but the Challenger was the one they had another teacher lady.
Okay.
And they had a crew, it was one Asian man, and I believe one black man, and then everyone else was white. There were 7 people on it.
Okay.
And all 7 died
Okay.
in the explosion.
Okay, that was in the 90s, I thought.
No, because that's whole Reagan era stuff. I mean, that was like
Which spacecraft blew up in the 90s, like mid 90s, like 99-ish?
I'd have to research it. To be honest, I don't know. But I know
was a
Challenger because I got Netflix.
Okay, because I knew the teacher, I knew the sister, the teacher, Mae Jemison.
Yes.
They named a school in Houston after her. I thought she was on that. I thought she was the first female black astronaut that was on that.
There definitely was not a black female on that flight.
That blew up?
The one female that was on the Challenger explosion was a white female, and she had curly hair, but she was definitely white.
Okay, well, when we finish this, I'm going to pull up Mae Jemison, because they built a school, and I could have swore she was on that ship. I could have swore she was on that spaceship that blew up, Mae Jemison.
Well, going back to this black astronaut, I was confounded again because this is just part of the documentary. This is a small piece where this guy says, hey, yeah, you know, in the 60s, I couldn't even go to the library and check out a book, and now look at me, I'm an astronaut. And it's like you want to say, wait a minute, whoa. Why couldn't you go check out a book? You mean to tell me you weren't allowed by law? It was against the law for you to go and read a book because you're black? It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we live in a world today where we couldn't imagine injustices like that, but they're happening, and I just really wanted to get down to why. And
it makes sense because I don't want you to know what I know. I don't want you to know what I know. I want to tell. You're going to listen to me. So basically, I'm going to tell you what this says, and then everything that I don't tell you about this, you will never know.
Now, in this play and in this book, does this character, does he change our history? I mean, don't give away the ending. I mean, you can to me off camera, but you know what I'm saying?
No. The main character in this book, basically what he does is once he goes back in time, he initially is looking for his grandfather, okay, who was an inventor. Okay. And at the time when he gets back there, his grandfather is a teenager, so he's not a grown man. So that's going to be kind of a tricky situation trying to find his grandfather due to the fact that he's the same age. Okay.
Right.
Well, he actually gets to get blueprints of things that are in our faces right now,
Okay. Okay.
but it doesn't get to quite make it back with him.
Okay. And we'll find out in the movie
Yeah.
why that happens.
Yeah.
Are you
And
going to
what we're
play
doing-
this character?
Well, no, that's just a little too much. What we're doing now, what we're actually doing now with the book is we're actually in the process of creating an animation series for it, because
Okay.
the budget for this would be on the Black Panther scale. Something
Okay.
of that nature will be the
Okay.
budget. And, you know, all the begging and trying to get the, budgets and you know what? To hell with that. We'll do an animation and put it out in the animated
We like to
version.
say battle for another time.
Save that battle for another time.
That is what's up. And how do we reach you if we want to stalk you pleasantly on the worldwide WW? What do we need to do from here, Rafiq?
Amazon.com. The Aggrandizer is on Amazon. You order on Amazon. It's there. Order.
You never stop doing amazing things. The Aggrandizer.
The word aggrandize means to advance. The word itself, aggrandizer, does not exist, but aggrandize. I mean, so I just kind of throw a little something in there. It's a little different because it kind of when you go to or when you go online and look up that, you're not going to pull up a bunch of things trying to try to navigate through what it is. That's what you're going to pull up. The
And that's what's up.
aggrandizer.
Hey, you guys, support the book, support my friend Rafiq. I'm going to close the show with a statement or a thought. I'm going to say Black lives do matter. And the day that they don't, nothing else will. It's the Ace Micheals Show, man. Thank you for joining us, being a part of the show. And you know what I like to say, live the life you love the life you live. Thank you.